Doing well geographically where you are. Hello guys, you alright? This is Red Pill Phil. I hope you're all doing well geographically where you are. Thank you to all the support and all the big ups and all the likes to my videos and my content. Thank you. You don't know how much that means at this moment in time. Long may it continue, so thank you very much. What I want to talk about is an interview that's going to be coming up. It's going to be following this. It's of a chap called Tom Parsons. Was graceful enough to come and meet me up in Manchester. I met some of his colleagues as well from Aslan's army. Tom Parsons is a leader of a newly formed group called the People's Revolution Party. He's got some very dynamic ideas, very vibrant, very fresh. I love it, and he's such a casual, laid-back guy who could sit all night and talk about some of the subjects. We kind of go off into other different subjects as well, but he does give a lot of information as to the party he's forming, why he's done it, and basically what it could achieve if he could get it off the ground. So it's up to you guys. The interview itself is split into 3 parts. The first one is following this one. Check it out, see what you think. Thank you for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Red Pill Phil. All I've got to say is what ideas and vision this man has got. I would class as visionary, inspiring, dynamic, and certainly probably a more fruitful way of going forward. So I've kind of said enough here. Hello, Tom. Okay, mate. Pleasure to meet you. Now, we've met through a mutual friend, but if you'd like to explain to the camera and to the people watching who you are, what you represent, and basically why we've met, we'll take it from there.
So, my name's Tom Parsons. I'm the party leader of the People's Revolution Party. We're forming an enormous alliance full of 30 political parties, 25 political organisations, and up to 50 non-political organisations, which are centre left to centre right. We reject both the extreme left and right. And all 30 parties will run in 21 constituencies each, and we'll work together as basically a coalition to take on the establishment.
Wow. What was your reasoning behind it? I know it's a silly question to ask, but what was your reasoning to form this or have this idea?
I looked at what was going on many years ago, and I was waiting like everyone else, waiting for someone to step forward, my older peers. Initially I thought perhaps with UKIP, albeit some things I disagreed with, but I thought maybe with Farage they had a chance. They got 4 million votes, as you know, and got 1 MP, which proves one single party cannot work in the current political system that they've rigged. So another way, I had this idea prior to that of how we'd go about it, but it just proved positive. It's not going to work. So I've been waiting for enough people to wake up to then enact the plan. There's a lot of external forces and factors that play into the timing of why it's now been launched, but we'll get to that as we go on.
Well, how? I mean, I've met you earlier today, and there's a Facebook page called Aslan's Army, and you had a little bit of a meeting of different employees, you could say, different workers that are involved dynamically within that. I didn't realise it was so dynamic, and there was different jobs and titles. And I must admit, I thoroughly enjoyed the company. Some of them have got so much energy, I don't even know why they're getting on a train home, because they could literally run home with the energy they had. There seems to be so much of a camaraderie there between you guys. Is that just the one central theme of everyone waking up, or is there something more central to why you guys have all connected?
It's mainly the structure. As we discussed earlier, I'll retell it for the viewers. Unlike most Facebook groups where it would just be predominantly politics, UK politics, there's like 80,000 members, you only see like 24 people who usually post, the rest just observe and do the odd comment. Aslan's is structured completely differently. So everyone has to get involved, everyone has a role to play, wherever that is, whether it be someone new coming in, going, sort of, what's this about? They'll go out and actively engage with them and sort of help them and lead them to understand for themselves what it's all about. Do they believe that there's truth to it, or they reject it, whatever the case is. We're open to everyone. And the whole structure is based around the intel drops from the group British Fight, which is a military, civilian and governmental insider group in Britain, which isn't part of Q, but it's by many different steps affiliated with in much the same
certainly
way.
In line in the way of thinking.
I mean, there are sort of, and have been, some back channel contacts. Might have to go 6-8 different people before we get it, but the whole idea is to be in synchronicity, so you see what's going on in Italy, in Iran, in North Korea, and all over the place.
So how many followers has Aslan's army got at this moment in time?
Just over 10,000.
Right, and how long have you been together?
About 10 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. It literally started with 30 the first day, grew to 300 by the second day. By, I think, day 5 we're on 1,000. So it was just a case of structuring it so we could actually effectively run it. We got I think 75 researchers, at least I think 50 mods. We have people who have been exposed to like historic sex abuse, could be as a child or in institutions. We have Aslan's Angels. They're very compassionate people, many of which have a background in counselling.
Okay.
We really try and reach out and help as many people as we can.
Certainly.
And obviously, if they then feel at some point they want to come forward and tell their story, it's a perfect open platform for them to do. They have our full support. And it's Aslan's is one small part of the overall thing. There's many affiliated groups as well, which total, I think, around 20,000. But there's a hell of a lot more about to go online.
And they're all supported by these affiliates?
So in about 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, we'll have a total reach of up to 400,000 members.
So what do you think is the reason why this way of approaching this movement is so attractive? Because you've got so many followers in such a short space of time. Now, I know people are yearning for the truth. The truth comes in many different forms on YouTube and on various online websites and whatnot. What do you think Aslan's army and British Fight are giving that is resonating with people more than most in terms of the speed of the attraction?
I think it's because it's multifaceted and it's multi-layered. So you have British Fight coming forward with, I think, it's something close to 200 drops in a very short space of time. They concentrate all on Q and what's going on with that, which is phenomenal. It's on 350 million worldwide. It's worldwide revolution. Then we've got the mechanism for this country to deliver the breakdown of the establishment and thoroughly crush them once and for all. As I said, there's no one party can get elected and challenge the establishment. It has to be a unified front, and it has to be in an inclusive but very direct alliance.
I mean, that's the problem we've got, isn't it, Tom? That the normal way of approach is to believe in one particular party, and that almost is a veil of manipulation that, follow us guys, we've got the answer, we can do it. Whereas you guys are not saying that. You're saying, you've got tentacles spread throughout different organisations that are all coming together rather than just one party, where that one party in a sense, is probably withholding a few secrets and have got a few skeletons in its closet itself, so it then loses a bit of credibility.
Yep.
The fact that you talk about British Five, we could talk about that for a minute, mate. What type of credentials, and I'm not asking for, you know, employment titles, but just generally speaking, these guys that do this work, what type of occupations are we talking about, these people that do this?
One is, without naming any names obviously, one is quite a high-ranking military officer in the army. One works in signals intelligence, one works in Whitehall, and others are spread throughout other places which I can't mention.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But yeah, essentially that's the gist of it.
Just trying to illustrate the credibility, you know what I mean? Now, to me, because you've got a collaborative effort from different places, it seems more credible than just one political party where it doesn't matter what political party, there's good and bad in it all, I guess. You know, some people will try and move that political party forward with the right intention, but essentially they're still playing the game of the puppet master. Whereas you do see where you've got whistleblowers from different establishments, they can leak, get information out to people which, coming from different areas, then can get people to realise how stuffed we are as a political system, and that one party is not working. So from the back of that, this is what I'm surmising, from the back of all this, you're devising a political party to work in line with these guys rather than on your own, because, you know, it's a collaborative effort, I guess.
No one party is above another.
Yes.
It would be mine or any other that's already agreed or is coming on board shortly. All of this will be announced in the next 2 weeks anyway.
Right, okay.
Around about the 16th.
Right.
We also all believe in direct democracy. So every single member that joins either one of the parties has as much power as that party leader.
Okay.
Every single party agrees to the following: that direct democracy has to be, end of. That a sensible Brexit has to be realised because it's the will of the people. We don't have democracy if we're not going to realise it. There is a sensible way of achieving Brexit without any economic harm, which I'll get to later. And that we're all in this together, and we must end all forms of corruption and the systematic three pillars of power that we have in this country. Two must be abolished and one must be thoroughly cleaned. And there's no other mechanism, and this has been proven for decades now, to effectively challenge the establishment. You know, and the time is now with QBF, global revolutions, the Labour being torn in two, especially over the anti-Semitism, the Tories about to be split in two over the Brexit betrayal, where we'll leave all in name. Lib Dems are done. UKIP are a fraction of what they were. For Britain ain't that big either. There is nothing else. So they're just going to remain in power.
What would you say to people that, because I've fought this myself with little independent parties that are popping up with all the right ideals, and you know, but thinking to yourself, well, if this is a race, these are the least equipped to actually get the job done, not so much right now, but because of their infrastructure, because any party starting new now, it's a grassroots thing, whereas you've got your UKIPs, you've got your Lib Dems, they've already got the infrastructure there, so they've got the upper hand with that, in a sense.
To start with.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was just going to ask you, how do you combat that going through the grassroots process that you're...
That's quite simple. Because you have such a large alliance, each one has their own specialist skills. So Party A could be, they have a really sound ground game. My party, for example, kills it online. Another party might be candidate training, for example. So you get, say, 2 representatives from each party. They go and see those, say, I don't know, take for example social media platform Party A. So So the other parties and then go to Party A. They'll learn the blueprint of how we're able to create such a big following in a very short space of time. They'll take that away and then replicate it.
Mm-hmm.
Then every other party, bar Party B, will then go and learn the ground game, and then they'll implement it simultaneously. That way you have the party infrastructure being built at a rapid pace in a matter of weeks across the spectrum. That way you have the infrastructure done within 6-8 weeks tops.
Right, okay.
And then it's just a question of funding.
Mm-hmm.
And there's very big players that are waiting for this to be implemented.
We were talking about that before. Is there anything you want to touch on there, or would you rather keep it? Yeah, it's understandable, but it's looking very positive.
Yeah, very positive.
Right. Just waiting for your infrastructure to be in place, and then you
There'll
can
be more
take
than enough to run a general election.
Right, okay.
For all of us.
Right. Where you're going to be running? Is it going to be a nationwide thing, or are you going to...
Every single constituency.
Right.
And it has to be.
Yeah.
We have to clean house.
Mm.
The Commons is an absolute disgrace. There's very few actual patriots in it. And most of them are pro-establishment. Most of them are on the take, are all corrupt. You know, then you got the paedophile MPs, the Lords are just... Yeah, that's another level of corruption. You have the Remembrancer, which is the City of London Corporation lobbyist, who sits there in the chambers. You know, and it's just utterly disgusting. And as everyone's going to find out very, very shortly, the Queen's Privy Council was central to the illegal spying on the Donald Trump campaign and the enormous corruption that stemmed from, which will result in her being she'll be forced to resign in the next matter of weeks.
Who's that?
Theresa May.
Theresa May. Theresa the Appeaser.
Yeah.
You know, or Sharia Teresa. There's so many different names that have been conjured up around that lady. The lady that said that Sharia law would be good for England. The lady that is now prancing around in South Africa and not talking about issues of genocide that are going on there, but she's dancing and prancing around like, and it's all there for everyone to see if you've got the eyes to see that these people in power have not got the proletariat in mind at all. Is there anything you want to speak to that, mate, in terms of the political system in which we're in now? Because you're offering an alternative.
Yeah.
Just explain in your words how you see our political system, the spectrum that we've got, the different players and where we're going.
So you have obviously MPs and which are all elected, but they're not being held to account at all.
Mm-hmm.
For example, they voted down the Prohibition of Deception Act. It was put forward by Adam Price MP in 2007, which would have made it illegal and a criminal offence to lie to the public in any statement. As we've seen recently, anyone under investigation, even if they're proven guilty, will now be swept under the rug and kept hush-hush, and the public don't have an option to say it. And now even more recently, it came out a couple of weeks ago, anyone that's trolling politicians online, they're trying to put in a law where then you can't run for public office. And you've got the EU, they're trying to ban memes. You know, it's a full-blown assault, and it can't be allowed to happen. We have to clean house.
Liberty stripping.
Yeah, the House of Lords. I mean, all of them are unelected. And so many are life peers. And if you want to understand the true source of democratic corruption and the paedophilia in the highest echelons, you only have to look to the Lords. It's utterly disgusting.
How do you get them out, Tom? Because they're lifelong peers, aren't they?
Well, it's very simple.
Yeah.
You pass an act and you cut them. You should cut them immediately, at least in half, and then make every one of them stand to be elected by the people.
Oh, yeah. As soon as that happens, then it's a different ball game, isn't it?
I mean, if we were to make it and become government, that would be enacted on day one, because it's so vitally important. Then you've got the other pillars of power, like the City of London Corporation. It's an 800-year-old corporation where all the banks are situated. If you want to understand why Parliament can't do or won't do a lot, it's because they have legal protected status, which is why they have a lobbyist who watches out for the City of London Corporation's interests in Parliament. I mean, why on earth do we have a lobbyist sat there in Parliament? It makes absolutely no sense.
It goes against the grain, totally.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not the one single symbolism you could show as corruption, I don't know what is.
The fact that he's allowed, never mind the fact that he's there, the fact that that job was brought up in the first place, and the fact that that lobbyist is going to probably, whatever he's lobbying, he's going to go against the people's wishes. It's going for more conglomerate interest.
Yeah.
So it should not be there. Certainly should not. And even if they are there, the proletariat's concerns should be put above lobbyist concerns.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, that was one of the first things he done once. Didn't he kind of ban any lobbyists within his government, or make it an offence for if anyone has been a lobbyist for so long that they can't be within his cabinet, or
no, they can't. If they serve in his administration, then they can't. They're banned for, I think it was 2 terms.
Yeah.
When he serves. After that, in that specific field, so they can't use their political influence and specialty to then carry favour with the person who replaces them.
Which is draining the swamp.
Yeah.
Albeit
we must have
way.
term limits as well.
Yes.
We shouldn't have any more than 2 terms, and that includes the Prime Minister. The way the whole Parliament structure originated was that each district would then send someone they elected to go and serve on their behalf with what they wanted for a very short space of time. I think it's 6 weeks or something, a very, very short space of time. And then they return and then send someone else. Obviously that wouldn't work in today's world. But introducing term limits, introducing mechanisms whereby they can't then lie without potentially facing jail, and cleaning house would fundamentally radically change this.
Well, it sharpened their concentration, mate, if they knew that it got serious now, because you do feel the flip side of that, because what you're explaining, but the flip side is that I won't even say lazy, they've got that complacent now, and the complicit in everything that's going on. They almost act like they can just get away with it because they've got their mechanisms of protection around them that will kick in to keep, their lies away from everybody else. So we do need that fresh approach,
Spin doctors and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, let's speak on that if you want, mate. The fact that you've got spin, I mean, do you need spin? Don't you just need truth?
Yeah, well, that's all you need, truth. The fact they have outside consultants, they spend millions of pounds on every year per party. Why they have whips to get everyone into line? If it's not the truth, you can't sell it. It's simple as that. That's the way it should be. It's the way it must be.
People resonate with the truth. I don't want to resonate with someone that I know has spent an hour trying to work a PR spin on a certain story.
Look at the Iraq War, it's a perfect example.
Certainly.
How many turned out on the streets in favour of it? How many turned out against it?
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, says it all. Yeah.
Because everyone could see through it.
But then, the one thing I ask, mate, why is the main instigator of that still running around doing what he's doing, i.e. Tony Blair, George
That's
Bush?
very simple. That's another element of the what we must take out from the establishment control. The senior judges must be elected by the House of Commons, and they must have a strict constitutional record to be able to be appointed. That's the way it must go. We must clean house. The reason why Tony Blair can't be prosecuted is because the senior judges said, no, he can't do it. That's why. It's disgusting.
No. So it's that layers of protection again, isn't it? So you can literally do what you want, put a nice PR spin on it, roll it out. I mean, just imagine the PR spin over the weapons of mass destruction. You know, same again.
But everyone understands that we have a two-tier justice system. You see it every day in the newspapers, every time you turn on the television. So and so's got away with it. If, Joe Bloggs on the street did the same, away you go. Good few years at least. But there's no central place we could just go, all right, we'll close it, and that'll solve the two-tier justice system. It's the inherent structure of which they've built all of these things and the corruption elements into it that need to be systematically dismantled. And there's no party that's talking about this at all. For example, the reason why prices keep going up, one of the major reasons, is they're doing quantitative easing, which is just printing money. For those who don't understand how money's created, they print money out of thin air, and it steals the value from the money already in circulation, and they're called inflation. The Bank of England have been doing this for so long. I mean, it's not as a private entity as it was, but it is still in part. So if you were to repeal the Bank of England charter and abolish it, return the money creation mechanism back to the Treasury, you could abolish actually a quarter of the national debt simultaneously.
Have I got it right in... Sorry, mate, go on, sorry.
I was going to say, it's just that simple.
Well, it is. I mean, have I got it right in the sense that we need to get back to tangible money, or at least have an economy that's run on something that's tangible, i.e. precious metals, rather than digital, just literally ones and zeros. Like you say, they can just create what they want, and then from the strength of that, they get money printed, which then has to have, has to be paid back with interest. So essentially, money, like you said, money is created out of nothing, but then we still have to pay back that money that's created out of nothing, but then pay back that money with interest as well. So you're kind of being doubly scammed over something that essentially is not even there. It's just,
the debt that the government pays out every year is just in interest.
Yeah.
That's why the debt keeps going up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
Because they're just paying interest.
Yeah. It's never going down.
It's not even completely.
Yeah.
Because it still keep going up. It's now surpassed 2 trillion.
And this is our country that is quite a strong economic kind of civilization, you could say, but in terms of smaller countries that are under this scheme, they are literally being gang raped by the international, financial system, all
IMF, World Bank,
exactly. They haven't got a chance.
Players.
We've heard about what happened in Portugal, Cyprus over the past few years.
Yeah.
It's a mafioso kind of.
Yeah, financially raped the heart of Greece with the Troika. And it's just systems of control. And once you start understanding what are those systems of control, and you start looking at how do you dismantle it, and there has to be a mechanism to put the people in power to then enact these things. There's no point screaming, Article 50 of the Constitution means, we can get rid of all these problems.
But you've still got the Muppets in there that's
There's no
using
mechanism to deliver it.
There's
no point going on about, if we expose, everything about grooming gangs with Tommy, that'll bring it down, or Melanie Shaw, or whatever the case is. None of it works. Yes, they might all be important in their own right, and might link together to other things, but if you have no mechanism, no realistic mechanism of which to deliver and sort those problems,
you're wasting your time and all of it.
Yeah, you're just screaming at a wall.
Yeah.
Is essentially what you're doing.